pledge this evening. Any questions regarding the agenda? Hearing none, any questions regarding the consent agenda? Mr. Holliday?
Item D, I have seen the buy board program at conferences and such before, and I've wondered why we're not a part of it, but now we are going to be a part of it. What led to that? Membership is free, so it's not costing us anything.
We received an invitation and reminder to it, gave it to Jeff, and he did some background checking and dealing with it, so that's safe.
For some of those items, we want to make sure that they are services and materials that we actually will use. And, some of them that we've looked at in the past have been so restrictive in what was available, we really didn't think it was worth pursuing. But this one looked like it was something we might well use.
Okay.
You don't have to buy from it. You can, I mean, it's just an option.
Well, and so many things are covered under state-issued bids and everything. I imagine there's a very limited number of things that we will participate in that program with, but whatever they are, if we can save $1, it's good. Sure. Yeah.
Well, we'd gotten a reminder from Randall Bennett with TSBA that we had this opportunity to. So
oh, good.
He sent out a reminder. Okay.
Chairman, item K, Eagleville Sewer Agreement. Have we, we're hooked on?
Mr. Clardy, can you update us?
I heard they tore the building down out there, so that at the sewer thing, so I guess we're hooked on.
That's right, we're hooked on, it's working, and we're in the process of demolishing the old tanks and system and filling that in, making the parking lot.
Oh, this is a long, long process. It's been years, hasn't it?
Bill Tollett said he thought about 50 years, and there'd been a lot of comments received at the football stadium about an unusual smell.
We'll smell a lot better.
Yes, sir.
I believe when he had his a teachers meeting that he had announced, or maybe it's the students, that this would be the first class not to have to tolerate that aroma during a football game. So there was always a 50-50 chance the wind would be
I
blowing.
would like to also say that we've worked hard over the last 5 years getting rid of the old system. If you'll remember Kittrell and Lascassas, and we only have one left, and that's at Buchanan Elementary School. So we hope to get rid of that one maybe next year, and that will take us off the state's hit list.
Well, I think we just call attention to the fact that certainly Mayor Toon and Coach Tollett and yourself but really many others, including people in Nashville, have been working on this forever. I know Mayor Burgess and the County Commission, a lot of people chipped in here trying to get something done, and I'm just glad they finally going to get this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
on item L there, supplements, top of the second page, is that Mr. Wells? Is that the same one that quit us in December?
No, that one. You know, Paul, look on page 2 on the list for supplement, top.
I can sign into personnel and see.
I'd have to go back and look. I don't know right off.
We'll check and see.
You want to come back to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll get that for you tomorrow. Is that okay?
Okay. Anybody else on the on the consent agenda? Did you have something, Ms. Moore? No. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Anybody else on the consent agenda? And then we'll get back with us on that, Mr. Estes. Okay. Of course, visitors tomorrow night. You want to say anything about the student art showcase, or just?
The room will be packed, probably. Typically is moms and dads, and sometimes grandparents and brothers and sisters come. So they're on display around our building. It's been really good since Ms. Barnes started that a few years ago. So it's been a very nice addition to our building on the wall. So it'll be a good time.
And I think it's probably one of the fun meetings that we get to experience, and that we get to walk around and see the fruits of our students' labors also, and the talent. And there's some crazy talent here in this district.
From someone who has trouble drawing stick men, I'm always amazed at what some of them can do.
I resemble that remark, Mr. Odom. We'll enjoy that presentation tomorrow night. Of course, 8 will be what is getting to be also fun, recognizing state champions on a pretty regular basis, so we'll do that. And number 9 is we'll have the scope students, and really enjoyed that opportunity, Mr. Odom, so thank you for letting those students participate. Ms. Joyce will pass out a booklet to each board member tomorrow night, basically giving what we did in scope with the mock school board and the debate question. And it was a lot of fun for me, because after all these years, I finally had a Rutherford County student in my group. So a young man from Central Magnet. So it was a lot of fun for me, which it is every year. So I'm looking forward to having them. So I guess we're on number 10, Mr. Odom.
Number 10 is the AVID program at Smyrna High School. Smyrna High School is looking to continue their agreement with the AVID College Readiness System Services, an elective that creates a college-going culture and increases the number of college-bound students. The agreement will require additional funding and teacher positions. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve an agreement with AVID College Readiness System Services and support the program at Smyrna High School. And we have with us tonight Ms. Caroline Brock, who championed this program through at least 2 high school principals, 2 directors of schools, and finally brought it to fruition. So I'm fine if she'd like to come and speak to it and let the board members know what the program is doing for us, how many kids are involved. Would be my suggestion if y'all want to do that.
I would like to invite Ms. Brock to the podium, if she would.
The AVID program has changed lives of students, and for that I'm eternally grateful. We have approximately 75 students. We're in year 2. This Friday we're taking a field trip to MTSU. In April we'll be taking a field trip to Tennessee Tech with the sophomores. We are asking for continued support for year 3 and to sign the contract of agreement. The other recommendation is that we could allow AVID to become one of the focused pathways. I am running into losing my band members, my athletes, some of my other students, because they're having to leave the AVID program to fulfill that pathway option. And I strongly feel that there is enough benefits from sticking with the program 3, if not 4 years, that it should be allowed to also be a pathway. Does anyone have any specific questions?
Just to clarify that circumstance, you're losing them because they need to participate in class time, but not because they've got to make a choice between the activities.
No, sir, they have to make a choice between the activities.
Elective focus.
Your elective focus. Like, if I have, I want to stay with band, or I want to stay with this, but I have to leave AVID because I've got to procure 3 credits in a focused area. And so sometimes they're having to choose that over AVID to fulfill the pathway. So we don't want them to have to sacrifice one to get the other.
So there is by approving AVID as a pathway, we can accomplish the academic challenges, the credit hour challenges during the school day, but still have access to the extracurricular activities afterward?
Yes, sir.
It's a both and.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I like that.
ROTC is a pathway, for example, that you did before.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
I would like to say that I'm very disappointed to hear that you have decided to retire. I personally know how many students you have affected over the years to the good, and I think Mr. Odom's going to miss your counsel too. So would like to say just God bless you for your service to all of our children over all these years, Ms. Brock. So thank you. That's great. Mr. Holliday?
I apologize for Ms. Brock. You may have to step back to the podium, but let me ask the question first. If I'm not mistaken, isn't a component of the AVID program somewhat tools intensive? I need a day timer, I need a planner, I need some parts and pieces in order to make this effective. Okay, in that regard, is what we're doing here in this approval, are we putting in place the appropriate funding for those resources to come to those students, and/or do we have some community business partners that might be helping us out the way we see over in the mechatronics program or something like that? As board members, do we need to be ringing the bell to look for some of those community business partners that might help underwrite some of those tangible aids? I want to give you that opportunity for that plug.
We've used, in the past, we've used a couple of the foundations to get this started off at.
Jennings and was Jennings and Rebecca Jones?
From the Jason Jones Foundation.
Jennings and Rebecca Jones, I think, was the first year that the initial package of monies.
We've worked together as Ms. Brock and myself and visited some of the other schools and gotten some ideas from them. It is a very expensive program, but it's very worthy of their efforts with those students and getting those students headed on a track to post-high school education.
I am a firm believer in how valid, appropriate, and impacting this program is. And the expense that's involved is something that we need to be keenly aware of. And if we need to rattle that saber at the Rotary Club or the Kiwanis Club or wherever in order to say there is an opportunity here and it's going to be an ongoing program, I certainly want, as board members and community members, for us to get that word out that we need as a community to support that program.
Absolutely. We'd welcome those efforts as well.
Okay.
Is there a grant opportunity ever for a program like this?
There are grants out there for programs similar to this. This is a national program. It's recognized across the nation.
But I mean a grant to fund it, you know?
Not from them themselves.
Okay.
The majority of the funding probably will be burdened by Rutherford County's schools.
I just thought maybe, Ms. Brock, with your talent, that maybe you could write a grant to some,
You've written several.
yeah.
And worked.
I've had the Pillsbury grant,
think they've been addressing some of those. It's just so many people want these grants anymore because
Thank you, Ms. Brock. Number 12, Mr. Odom.
Number 11 is the
Oh.
companion to this.
Oh, that's
Avid Pathway for Smyrna High School. The instruction department is requesting that Avid 1, 2, 3, and 4 become a pathway option for Smyrna High School, just as Art 1, 2, 3, and 4, or Band 1, 2, 3, and 4 builds and expands each year upon the skills that are begun the first year. Avid also has the same similarities. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve instructions requests for Avid 1, 2, 3, and 4 to become a pathway option for Smyrna High School. Remember, the State Board of Education listed some pathways, but then gave power to local boards of education to add other pathways to that.
Is there a pathway for the IB program at Oakland?
I think so.
Yeah, all right.
AP.
Okay. This is going to be excellent. This is right what we need. We've had 2 years of getting this, rolling in the right direction, and I'm so glad to see these final steps being put in place.
You see how quickly she was able to answer that? She's my go-to person when I'm trying to get a question about pathway or something dealing that counselors should know.
I see
A lot of knowledge.
Indeed, I see a 120-day contract in the future.
12 now.
Okay. 12 is the Board of Education Policy 4.201 states in part, a listing of courses offered for credit in grades 9 through 12 will be approved annually by the board. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve the list of courses for credit in Rutherford County grades 9 through 12 for the 2015-16 as presented.
There's a bunch of them.
Yes.
How many, do we know exactly how many?
I didn't count them this time. Did you, Mr. Aguirre?
No, sir, I did not. There's a very large number.
We can count them for you if you want.
Yeah, I bet they'll have that for you tomorrow night.
Well, I'm more interested in just a list of them. Can we get a list?
Yeah, it's on
There's a
tab
list
4.
attached. There should be a list there.
Should be a tab 4
All right.
list.
Okay.
If we didn't get that on there, I do have that copy. It's on there.
Sometimes it's hard to find those
There should
tabs.
be a
Okay.
list. Sometimes the tabs are hard to locate.
It's on tab, I hadn't looked at it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Number 13.
13 is special courses request. The instruction department is requesting permission to make an application to offer credit for special courses under the following guidelines. It's Rule 520-1-3-.05-2A, which says local school systems may offer special courses not listed in 520-1-3.06 on an experimental basis. The Commissioner of Education must approve each course in advance each year. After 3 years, the course may become permanent part of the local school program upon approval of the State Board of Education. After 3 years, the special course request must be resubmitted if the teacher listed on the application changes. Recommend approval. The motion is to improve Rutherford County making application of the new special courses to be offered in the named schools in 2015-16 as presented. And that's on tab 4. Some of them I'm looking at are the ones that I presented that 3 years are up or teachers changed and we're having to resubmit. So that goes back a ways.
Does that happen often with have to resubmit because of a teacher change?
Very often. I mean, it's not unusual because when you write the special course question, you send in the syllabus, what you're going to be teaching and all. Very often that teacher, whoever's driving it, has written the syllabus and all. And now you can resubmit it and the next teacher adopt that or amend it some. Our instruction department and the principal reviews those before they come to us, before submitting to the state again. Probably one of the most common ones is ACT Prep, for example, which we've been doing for a number of years, ACT preparation. There are a number of others that are like that we've added that's not in the state course list, but are beneficial to us or our students.
I can imagine what an ACT
Entomology?
prep Yeah, I can imagine what an ACT prep course is, but what is National Merit Prep?
It's very similar to the ACT prep again. Go ahead, Mr. Zig, I'll let you do your instruction.
Like Mr. Owens said, it's very similar to the ACT prep. It's prepped on those advanced information or advanced coursework to be able to apply and receive that national merit honors or distinction.
Is it in addition to an ACT, or is it like an either-or?
Preparation to take your PSAT as a junior.
Ah,
Take it as a freshman and sophomore, but it is not count towards your national merit competition. That round is strictly in the junior year.
okay.
So it's prepping them with those SAT skills. SAT is strictly reading, writing, and math.
Okay.
Where ACT is only 1/4 math. So your really strong math students do somewhat better on your SAT.
Academic pathway internship, on-site or off-site?
On site.
Okay.
The prep, their semester, they're not
They're one semester.
one semester, okay. Ms. Brock, I think you forget about retirement. I think you're,
Just need to come to every meeting.
yeah, you just might as well
Leave
just,
us our
yeah.
cell phone number.
Maybe we could put her a seat
Call a
up there
friend.
beside you, Mr. Zega, so. Okay, I guess, are we at
14?
14 now? Okay.
14 is the Blackman High School press boxes and loan. Blackman High School previously requested board approval for construction of press boxes for the baseball and softball teams. The baseball program has almost completed the project, and the softball program would like to begin construction on their project as quickly as possible. Blackman High School softball and baseball booster clubs are seeking approval to obtain a loan in the amount of $26,459.62 to complete both projects. The loan is guaranteed by individuals in the booster organization. The loan will be paid over 5 years, and Blackman High School would agree to move the main operating account for the school to Wilson Bank and Trust. Wilson Bank and Trust will make an annual donation of $1,500 to Blackman High School as long as Blackman High School continues to maintain the operating account with the bank. There will be no cost to the board for completion of this project. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve Blackman High School baseball and softball booster organizations to proceed with securing a loan with Wilson Bank and Trust in an amount of $26,459.62 to complete press box construction for the baseball and softball programs at no cost to the board.
Don't see any questions. So we'll move on to number 15.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. We've had problems with at no cost to the board, and we've had a recent problem at Blackman Middle School, and there's plenty of blame to go around here, but perhaps the initial blame may have to rest. Well, I don't know where it rests. To tell you the truth, I'm not sure that it matters. But we ended up with a situation that it was going to be cost to the board. There was going to be some cost to finish this project, and I think that's happened twice with the wrestling program that was out there, and then recently, and the recent one continues to. I just don't want that to happen again, I guess, and I guess I'm just saying that I think other than just to just say this sounds great, and it is great, by the way. I mean, I'm proud of these folks. They're going to make a long-term commitment here, but it may need a little bit of oversight from somebody.
Let me tell you what we've done.
Sure.
I actually have met yesterday with the high school principals and met today with all the middle school principals where this comes from. They had their regular meeting. And I can give you a copy of my notes that I went through with these, both principals and schools. Mr. Clardy has revised his application that where we make a decision whether to place this on there or not. They have been told that it will have to meet all code requirements Mr. Carter has to sign off on it, that the, again, code usually covers it though, but the construction, its location, where it might be, they will have to show us the loan, who's co-signing, how do we know this is covered? They will also have to pass through Ms. McLeod for gender equity, Title IX. So I told them both very plainly yesterday and today that unless we have these approvals, it's not even going to make it on the agenda. That we've got to operate differently because of some of our experience in that. So I hope we've got it covered. Mr. Carter can tell you what all he's asking for on the form.
I was just gonna make a statement that this will clean up the mess and prevent that from happening in Blackman High School.
And I saw your memo on the emails, I don't know, 10 days ago or so. And I think that's extremely wise. And I do think if you go back a number of years, a lot of times, if you know, the tendency was to, if somebody needed something, it would clear a need. They were willing to pay for it themselves, at no cost to the board. It was approved. And I think there probably ought to be another step in there of somebody else looking at it, somebody in this building looking at it.
And we do, I was going to say also that today I just reviewed a report where we have gone around to every school and taken an inventory of all the buildings on the site, including athletic buildings, storage buildings, everything else. We've got an extra 250,000 square feet of outside building on our campus. And it amounts to, I think, about 5,000 square feet for the schools. Or building, maybe. So I'll be presenting that at some other point, but those buildings get to be, unless they're maintained by the school, by the organizations that put them up, they will begin to be a great burden on the board. So, you know, we've got to be proactive in watching those things, make sure they're built right, and making sure they can fund them and maintain them.
We've got two attorneys here, but I believe state law says that when they build it on school property and we give approval, then it becomes ours. I think it's kind of what it says.
Yeah, I was going to say that too a minute ago. It's easy to say, you won't have to worry about this. But the truth is that we do have to worry about it at some point.
Well, and to that point, when completion and certificate of occupancy and the ending of the building permit and everything takes place and it becomes Rutherford County property, the loan documents say it's an unsecured loan and it's guaranteed by two private individuals. But I'm interested, Mr. Reed, does our board action, does it tie us to this loan? And are we, in effect, still on the hook for this, even though there are people signed on the documents other than the Board of Education?
You're not on the hook for it. It's an unsecured loan, so the bank takes the risk. If the borrowers do not pay the bank has no recourse against the collateral because the collateral is our property, our real estate.
All right.
So the board has no liability in that. So except to the extent it may have a building on its property that it has to start maintaining if someone else does not maintain that building.
That is a risk, isn't it?
The only thing I see wrong with this, we're obligating people that are not even in the booster club yet to pay this back. 5 years. So if people are going to be there 4, hopefully, are the freshmen.
Well, we've had some large football facilities that some of our citizens have made long-term commitments to. So it's pretty impressive that they're so favorable towards, you know, our system, that they make those kind of financial commitments, which is amazing to me.
Well, As long as we get it free, I'm all for it. But, you know, I kind of hate to see booster clubs obligated when they're not even there yet.
I'm going to add to that it's very easy for a freshman parent, let's say, to be really eager and ready to go, and boy, this is just wonderful. And then when they're a junior and that kid is no longer on the team, they're not so eager sometimes to help you out financially. I can attest to that personally. And they're going to be somebody's on the hook for this $26,000.
Banks are well aware of this, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure they are.
Anything else? Okay, I guess we'll move on to facilities.
15A, under Facilities, the DeJarnett Lane Pumping Station property. A motion was brought forward on November 11th, 2014, and approved for the sale of a small easement at the DeJarnett Lane Pumping Station to the city of Murfreesboro for an upgrade to the city to that pumping station for the amount of $670. Mr. Ernest Burgess, County Mayor, forwarded the easement documents to the Property Management Committee, and they voted to deed the county's remaining property at the location to the city for the same cost and within the same deed. The rationale for this action is that the remaining property was a burden on the county from a liability and maintenance standpoint. The special warranty deed for the property of the .8 acres is attached for the board's review. Recommend approval of the motion to approve deeding of the .8 acre of property owned by the county to the city of Murfreesboro in the amount of $670 as presented. And Mr. Jeff Reed worked on this, if y'all would like to know more about it. I think he handled this. We've talked about this once before, if you remember, and had a picture of the property.
I don't have that much to add to it. This is that parcel of property. It sits really low, and there's really no practical use for the remainder of that parcel, where it really was going to be a burden on whoever kept it. So it makes sense for the city to go ahead and take the entire parcel along with it. So that's what the county decided to do, and the city was okay with doing that.
I'm glad they have it. We don't have to try to cut it, grass, or that sort of stuff. It's been a problem.
Yeah, we've had some comments from the commission and from the board, so we'll just move on with it.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
KB is the John Coleman Elementary School Replacement Building Geotechnical Testing. The Rutherford County Engineering and Construction Department has received a proposal from Terracon and would provide geotechnical testing services for the design of John Coleman Elementary School. The proposal includes field exploration, rock exploration, laboratory testing, and an engineering report for the amount of $16,375. These tasks must be performed to evaluate structural design for footings and slabs on the new school. Terracon has performed several studies for the Rutherford County School Board in the past with very favorable results. This is a professional service. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve the geotechnical testing proposal by Terracon at a cost of $16,375 on the proposed new John Coleman Elementary School. Geotechnical testing is a professional service. Of course, this is not only footings and all too, but if we try to use geothermal or anything there, we've got to have all of this information that's part of it. C is the Roy Waldron School Edition Geotechnical Testing. The Rutherford County Engineering and Construction Department has received a proposal from Terracon to provide geotechnical testing services for the design of Roy Waldron School Edition. The proposal includes field exploration, rock exploration, laboratory testing, and engineering report for the amount of $10,000. These tasks must be performed to evaluate structural design for footings and slabs on the new school addition. Terracon has performed several studies for Rutherford County School Board in the past with very favorable results. Again, this is professional service. The recommend approval, the motion to approve geotechnical testing proposal by Terracon at a cost of $10,000 on the proposed Roy Waldron School Edition. Geotechnical testing is a professional service.
I don't think anybody has any questions, so we'll move to D.
D is the Christiana Middle School offices and locker room. Principal Bob Horn has requested permission to build a multipurpose locker room and 2 PE offices in the gym storage room for Christiana Middle School. The approximate cost of the renovation will be $3,500. The project will be funded by the school at no cost to the Rutherford County School Board. The space will be shared equally by the girls' volleyball team, fall sport, and boys' baseball, spring sport. Recommend approval of the motion to approve construction of a multipurpose locker room at Christiana Middle School at no cost to the board. The space will be shared equally between boys and girls' sports.
Mr. Clardy, when using these artisans for building a press box or possibly inside a structure, do you approve the artisan yourself, or do you just make sure it's inspected?
On this one, for instance, one of my project managers will be assigned this. He's gone out and done the drawings for them. And he will oversee it, and then, we, normally we get a very successful job out of those. I think it kind of addresses Mr. Jordan issue. The issue at school that he referred to was that our advice for the project wasn't taken. That's where the problem came in.
That's great. I'm sorry, were you finished? I'm sorry. The 3,500, does that, that sounds very cheap to me. I mean,
That's mainly material, and their labor will be free. And it only amounts to a wall, basically, with a door in it.
okay. It, kind of a line do we have to where instead of putting in a budget request for us to pay for it, they agree to pay for it, and no cost to the board, okay? I'm not sure that I know where that line is drawn. I don't understand why some things fall on one side and, oh, we'll do it, and then the other things don't. I'm really looking at the next one also, and maybe I should have waited.
They get no from us sometimes, which is the next one, part of it. But,
Main line is where it's instructional or recreational or athletic. It's usually where the line is. For instance, this one is used for sports. So I told them I'm not taking my maintenance dollars for instruction and spending them on sport project. And that's where, we usually draw the line. So they say, okay, we will do it ourselves. Will you help us draw the plans up, check with the fire marshal, and look into those types of issues? And that's what we normally do.
Well, you're certainly aware that I would never argue or debate with you. But with that said, they do say 2 PE offices, which is not in the gym storage room. Perhaps they're PE offices. Okay, I agree. I get that. And I would say that those individuals, or I don't know, I'd say they're very likely are coaches. I'd say also that they evidently don't have an office, PE or otherwise. I'm just, I guess, just curious more than anything else. And as I said, I was looking at also last night, was looking at E, and I'll let you go to E.
Ms. Stenvick?
Another thing that we look at, and a big item for us, is comparability when evaluating different requests. If it is a middle school request, is it comparable to what we have done at other middle schools? If it is, and it is athletic, and we have done it as part of the program, we will be more open to trying to fit it in. Down in item E, as these buildings are built at the, through the Booster Club or through the sport, we say what we will and will not address, and that if you later make this decision, you pay for it. We'll pay for the water once the connection's there. We'll pay for the electricity once the connection's there. But, and comparability in those facilities also.
And I know we've discussed this before about when you build a building, Stewart's Creek High School has a whole lot of things in it that Oakland and Riverdale High School do not have. And because it was built so much later, we know so much more. And I agree with that. So what I'm about to say is really kind of unfair in a way, but in a way it's not. And I see where they're coming from. When Oakland and Riverdale, which were originally identical floor plans, when they were built, there was one coach's office for a girls' coach, one, because there were very few girls' sports. Track or basketball was about it. Well, now, of course, there's half a dozen or more. Well, they had to build offices. They had to find someplace, and they paid for it, which our booster club did. But another school on down the line, we pay for that. You do. I know you see my point. You're nodding, and I'm not sure there's a way out of that. I don't know what the way out is.
I know a way out.
Okay.
You get at least 11 of your former compatriots.
Ouch. Okay.
Mr. Jordan, I would consider this athletic project for the baseball team and the volleyball.
Okay. Purpose of the okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it.
Ms. Joyce, I've lost our place.
E.
Okay.
E is the Riverdale High School softball building water line. Principal Tom Nolan has requested permission to install a water line to the softball building at the Riverdale campus. Riverdale High School requests permission from the board to install restrooms at a later date. The length of the water line is approximately 150 feet and will be installed at no cost to the Rutherford County School Board. Recommend approval. The motion to approve installation of approximately 150 feet of water line by the school to the softball building at Riverdale High School at no cost to the board. Go ahead.
Well, I assume. I think I'm not doing a very good job here. He made this request before that we pay for it. Is that right?
He approached Mr. Clardy. I'll let him speak for himself.
They actually have plans of putting showers and restrooms in there. And again, that's athletic. And I don't want to put the water line down there and then kind of get railroaded into the rest of the project. So I put the burden on them to get the water line in and do the entire project.
Well, I don't want to agree, but I think you're probably right. I don't know any other way to go about that. Thank you, Mr. Clardy.
All right, moving on to,
F is a good one.
yes, it is.
Smyrna Primary School Addition deductive change order. The final cost for the Smyrna Primary School addition and renovations project from Liberty Construction Company, LLC, is $2,135,279.36. The bid amount for the project is $2,266,500. The final change order amount for the project is a credit of $131,220.64. Recommend approval. Motion to approve the final deductive change order from Liberty Construction Company, LLC, in the amount of $131,220.64.
That'd be a pretty easy one, I would think.
Shouldn't get any too
I
much
suspect that's going to pass.
But again, when we have these projects, then it goes into the next building program. And Jeff and Gary are already looking at what can we do to help with the next project that we've got going on. And y'all have already talked about this. If you want to share it, it's up to you.
Well, for one thing, we're going to take part of the money that we saved on that building. We're going to key that entire building to prevent someone was running around with a briefcase full of keys, so that they're on the same system like our newer schools are. And there's a few other odds and ends for that library. Yeah, with the library, we went over in the library about 40,000, so that was fun math, because we added some equipment and different things in there. So, we're always just trying to figure out how to save money and fund things, and, continuously bring these schools up, even though they're older schools.
In particular, on the Smyrna Primary project, when I got the requisition for the library materials, I knew it would take us over. But again, one of our older schools, first opportunity in a long time for a major renovation like that, and we made the decision, okay, we should be able to cover it within the project. We don't have money in the GPS budget to buy something like that in the library. Let's cover it from here while we're at it.
I want to assure this board, and many of you were here when that project went before the county commission, and Mr. Hodge, I believe, was chairman at that time. And that project affected positively more staff and more students per dollar than anything that this board has ever requested and done. And it's terrific.
The other compliment, Mr. Clardy, is that you have a habit of bringing projects in under budget. Money forward to buy land for other projects and facilities,
We've been very successful with that, and it's getting more difficult all the time.
I bet, I'm sure.
The tightness of the money and the cost. So we're always looking for new ways to try to save them.
And this roughly 80,000, 60 to 80,000, that would be the Keene project. Since it is elementary shared money, we won't be able to set it aside for future high school projects. It'll have to go to elementary.
Otherwise, we've already shared that.
We've already shared it, yeah.
I think we're at H.
G.
No, G, yeah.
G is the Stewart's Creek High School Legacy Project. Dr. Clark Harrell, principal at Stewart's Creek High School, has requested permission to construct a paved sidewalk at the corners of the front entry at the school. The work will be completed as part of the Interact Club's Legacy Project designed by student Hunter Bullock. Currently, the existing concrete pad does not handle the large number of students at dismissal, and it creates an eyesore because grass cannot grow, which results in dust, mud being tracked into the building. This legacy project, a service endeavor by the Stewart's Creek High School Interact Club, will be fully funded through donations. Thus, no cost will be incurred by the Rutherford County School Board. Principal Harrell is also requesting approval to employ the use of Stripe credit card processing services so that the money can be accepted to streamline the purchasing for those that wish to purchase pavers for the project. The estimated cost of the project is approximately $23,000. Recommend approval. Motion to approve the Stewart's Creek High School Interact Club's Legacy Project for pavers at the entry of the school at no cost to the board as presented. And Mr. Sandy, you remember the credit card swipe that we piloted at Eagleville? He has got information about how that worked. And that, since that's a part of this, you may want to share it.
The project turned out, it worked very well. One of my main concerns was the weakness of cell phone reception in the Eagleville area, but even they were able to work around that, and have been able to handle the accounting procedures and all that just fine. And I'm very confident in the bookkeeper at Stewart's Creek High, Ms. Pearson.
I'd just like to say that some schools could take some lessons from this young man on presenting their projects and being thorough in requesting, and you will get a chance. He'll make a short presentation on tomorrow night, but this is very thorough. It has the request, the estimate, the drawings, the bids, from the high school. And, you can go up, they'll take your credit card and swipe it and put your name out in front of the school.
I hope when he makes his presentation that he brings the actual drawings, Mr. Holliday and Mr. Hodge, and Mr. Estes, maybe even, Mr. Young, but they're like big architectural drawings. I mean, this young man went to the nth degree to get this, as accurate as humanly possible. So I was impressed, and I was pleased to see Mr.
I have
Clark.
a set of those prints in the office. He supplied one to go with this, so, but he'll be here. He'll make somebody an excellent project manager. He could go in project management right out of high school and be ahead of so many in the industry now.
I was certainly impressed by the presentation that he made today. So
I was just going to say, if we can make the effort to ask him to bring those drawings, and if not, if it just can't be done, I'd like for every board member to have those 3 drawings, at our place setting tomorrow night, because it really tells the story. I mean, I know it's there as a tab and everything, but just in case we don't get that, because that is a professional presentation. I mean, there's no detail assumed.
He will bring those, and he'll have one of these books.
Okay.
For each person, but also requested that he put them on overhead.
There you go.
So that everyone could see them.
Excellent. That's outstanding, and a great concept as well. Ongoing, just a wonderful, wonderful concept.
Matter of fact, we will probably try to incorporate some of this into our new high school, so that we don't have this issue at the next one.
Well, I remember one of the things, there was a new section of the college campus where I was, and they intentionally didn't put in any sidewalks for a year. And they said wherever the students cut the sidewalks, they came back a year later and they poured the concrete sidewalks there. We could pour sidewalks, but the students are going to decide what path they're going to take. So they didn't put any sidewalks in. A year later came back, and just the dirt paths made them into concrete sidewalks. So,
okay. I think, is that the hit or miss method? Good.
Number 8, or letter H, is the Whitworth Buchanan Middle School Archery Building. Principal A.V. Seymour has requested permission to construct a 90 feet by 150 feet pre-engineered metal building on a concrete slab on the Whitworth Buchanan campus. The building would be used as an archery building for practice and tournaments. The estimated cost of the building is $550,000 to $600,000 and will be designed by Picklesheimer Roberts Architecture. The school will be responsible for compliance to all codes, utility installation, purchase of the building permits, all labor, material, and other associated costs at no cost to Rutherford County School Board. Funds will be raised through grants, donors, and charitable organizations. There are no gender equity issues since boys and girls will be using the building. Rutherford County Schools Engineering and Construction Department has overseen the design of the site plan to prevent conflict with overall site plan, including the high school and associated sports facilities. This is a recommended approval, a motion to approve the Whitworth Buchanan Middle School Archery Building as presented at no cost to the board. I think there may be a major corporate sponsor involved in this too, and Ms. Moore, you may know more about it than we do. I don't know for sure.
Actually, I don't. I mean, I know that they've been growing the archery program over at Whitworth and recently hosted this, I guess it was a national sort of tournament, so there's a lot of excitement, but I'm really not that familiar with the ins and outs of the program, so.
I've just been amazed at the rise in popularity of archery, and as for us, I believe it began with Christiana Elementary.
It did, I think.
And I mean, they competed for national honors, and then that moved over to Christiana Middle, and I guess it's the Whitworth Buchanan. It's just that it's a co-ed activity, and it's just been amazing to watch that program.
I wasn't
Grow.
going to name the corporate sponsor or anything, and we probably shouldn't, but Mr. Clardy has been involved in this, I know, for some.
I have, we've even had Mr. Binkley lay out the site on his overall site plan. But the two ladies are, I think it's Carmichael, is that? Anyway, they are gung-ho about this. They're taking a very professional approach to it. They're following all the protocol correctly. Mrs. Seymour's been involved in it. And they have some means, some sponsors that will fund this for them. But they needed approval before they could get the commitment from those funding agencies. So I will assign a project manager to that particular job so that they can keep it on it as it goes up and make sure that they follow our criteria.
I think Mr. Delbridge had one of the first programs in the county at Siegel Middle, I think, a number of years ago, and boy, it has really exploded with interest everywhere. Wasn't there something in the paper just fairly recently? Stewart's Creek had won something in the archery.
And Christiana went to the nationals. Christiana Elementary. And we mentioned this, it's been a couple of years ago now, but it's reaching students that are not the basketball player or the football player or the baseball player. But these kids are really latching on. It's motivating. I mean, it's skill-oriented, teaches discipline and things to do with it. Our SROs have helped with a lot of those in establishing those. So it surprised me also, but it's really been good for kids. And parents are into it, right, Ms. Moore?
They absolutely are. I do have actually one thing that I recall that I don't think's noted on here, because it is obviously a big project. And if I'm not mistaken, and Mr. Clardy can probably clarify this for us, that the intent with this archery facility is also that there will be a number of other schools utilizing it as well. So even though it'll be on the Whitworth Buchanan campus, it's not going to be solely for the use of Whitworth Buchanan. So we'll have other schools within our district being able to take advantage of the facility. Is that right, Mr. Clardy?
And I knew the names of all of them at one time, but I can't recall who they are. But that have already committed to participating in the events and things there.
I think you'll see regional, state, maybe beyond happenings here. I think the corporate sponsor is interested in this. There's some things really going on in the background that this is going to be the place to be if you're in archery.
Well, along those lines, I'm looking at the design here, and 15 lanes certainly looks appropriate and adequate for whatever we may conceive of. But when this is a multi-school complex, and potentially this is also the same facility that Whitworth Buchanan High School may utilize as well, can we design in potential expansion? Can we configure the concession stand where we had 15 lanes to the left and 15 lanes potentially to the right? Can we be there where we could have, if we've got a non-load bearing wall here, and so if we need an observation gallery because we're hosting state tournaments or something like that, then we've got those things in place that allow us to expand this, because this is going into a multi-school complex setting.
And I think since this is a freestanding clear span building,
Okay.
all of that can be accomplished. What that amounts to, and adding on, there's room to the north of that building that a few bays could be added on, and that could be expanded. I think they brought thought through this, and it can be done fairly easily.
Excellent. And where we position it, in the master plan for the landscape and all of that, I'm glad to see that we're already taking that into consideration. Okay.
Yeah, if I could, just kind of a follow-up, is an excellent question that Mr. Holliday asked. And Mr. Clardy, I know one of the things that we talked about earlier on with this facility was the concern over the space and whether or not it was going to be feasible and still allow room for everything that's going to be needed for a possible future high school and so on. And I see that you've addressed that, or that it's been addressed in here, but kind of back to Mr. Holliday's question, if there was a need for expansion later on, is that going to become more of a concern again in terms of the space that would be needed or the land that would be needed to expand?
I don't think there is. I think you just add, you know, another however many bays. You could actually add them one at a time if you needed to.
Okay.
But you can get a 24-foot bay and go to the north fairly easy. There's all kind of space there.
Okay.
It may be part of, it could be parking lot at some point, but there's room for it.
Thank you.
I think we can all take lessons from Oakland and Riverdale High School as far as utilization of space. I don't know how they've gotten as many facilities in that area, but they've been just incredibly economic with their land. So,
We pay for almost none of it.
and we pay for almost none of it, so just pleased to have boosters support it. So I don't, should there be any insurance update? I know we have
Jeff's got one for you.
we meet again, I think, not next week, but the week after.
Thursday week. The budget that we will talk about Monday at our first budget meeting, right now, we have an 8% medical insurance increase in that budget. I have talked with Melissa Street. It could be as high as 13.5%. And the commission has voted several years ago for our options that include dependents to increase by 1% each year what the employee pays until we get down to 80% on those plans. So we are looking at some rate increases. We will be looking at some options that, maybe not fun options, but some options that might lessen that rate of increase. And that's just the update we wanted to.
I think we might have wished you had that one for a while.
Well, you will see Monday as we look at this, we're getting the same shape as corporate America. And when you talk about these kind of increases, you're in the millions of dollars, folks, that hits each time this happens. So we're not different than private business or enterprise here, and you'll see that Monday for sure.
Mr. Hodge, legislature has been in full tilt.
Well, there's always something going on down there. Mr. Oldham and I talked yesterday and thought basically he had several things from TOS, but we decided just basically everybody should have a copy here of 3 pages. What I'd recommend is basically board members just take it and look over it, and basically we go over it tomorrow night, and where everybody has some time to look into it a little bit. Personally myself, I've sent some emails, but and we sent our original one. To this date, I have never got a response back from anyone, so I don't know if any other board members have received anything also, but it's rather discouraging that we're not, some of our requests aren't being acted upon. I guess that's what's discouraging to me, but if you just, I just circled a couple of these, 2 or 3 of these things that you might want to look at. Number 1, for example, about the lobbying, I've yet to figure out why they want to know that. And number 6, on the charter
just, I really had to look that hard, but, I'm interested to see how our people are voting on this stuff, but I haven't got that far yet, so.
I found 13 very interesting in that charter school goes out, can stay with us, but they can come back and use our insurance. If you read it the way I do there, they would permit them to tap back into the school system's teacher's insurance plan. You know, that's really interesting. We do that. Number 15 there is probably the longest. Folks, I can tell, if you'll read the steps in that, I don't know how many employees it would take to do this. The number of students that's missed 3 or more unexcused days is literally in the thousands. And there's lots of steps to and it's already passed, referred to the calendar committee to put it on. Just like that number 1 that you dealt with TSBA last year, that's passed the committee. Moving on, but you can see there's some really, really interesting things happening.
And that's a nice way of describing it, Mr. Odom. Interesting.
Polite.
Well, the bottom line, I think what it comes, it all goes back to, dollars, being funneled in each one of these, votes and everything. That's what it all boils down to.
Would such a program like this truancy program that you've pointed out here about, item 15, would that be something that we could go and get a state waiver on if we said this is just, overly burdensome and we need a waiver? Because if so, then let's start the paperwork now, on the possibility that they pass this, because I'm with you. And it's just,
I mean, it literally could be in the tens of thousands.
yeah.
Joke. I can remember when I was in attendance and I ran it, the statute is that you are truant in Tennessee if you have 5 or more days of unexcused absence. That makes you truant. And literally, we have required to send letters at 5 days, 10 days, 15 days. You know what I'm talking about, Mr. Estes. And I can tell you, if you have to set up all these meetings and counseling and follow-up conferences and sessions, I can't tell you how many people it would take to meet this requirement, but it would be enormous. Am I right, Mr. Estes?
And maybe one of the things that we need to do, and maybe it needs to come individually as board members rather than collectively, is to remind them of the physical note that would accompany this. And a lot of times that will win out is when they see that how expensive it is. But then we get a testing program that they put on us, and they don't pay anything on it, towards it.
I'm going to respond to what Mr. Hodge said. I don't know how many emails I've sent to Nashville in the last 9 years, but considerable. And I'm absolutely positive, because it's easy to keep up with, how many answers I got and responses, and because the number is 1 in 9 years. Now, I don't consider myself to be an expert on much, and I don't consider myself to be a very important person or anything like that at all, but I would think, like all of you, I represent, as far as the school board is concerned, about 40,000 people, and I would think that those people would expect a school board member to get a response from their legislative delegation, and I've gotten 1 in 9 years, and none in the last 2 years, 0. Mr. Hodge said he hadn't gotten any recommendations or any responses, and I'm backing him up.
Yep. Mr. Sandvik?
Well, just when you mentioned fiscal notes, I off the urge to say this at a previous meeting. One of the things I've encountered is occasionally, more than occasionally, the systems that get called to be asked, what is the fiscal impact of this? It is a small system, a couple of thousand, 5,000, 6,000 students. It isn't, the number cited on that bill may have nothing to do what it would be even for Rutherford, let alone a metro or a Shelby County.
Okay, we'll talk about some more tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, if each board member wants to take a look at it, you may do your own research on some of it, and, once you get into it, it's rather frustrating. It's, basically, know good and well that you've got one of the top systems here within the state, you get the resources here to refer to, and none of it's being done. And, that's the discouraging part. And, where you see so much concern about, the vouchers and the charters and all that, where your public dollars are going towards that stuff. And, bottom line is, the real problem could be straightened out at the top. And my feeling behind that is put somebody in position up there who knows how to straighten out the problem. And, charters and vouchers, that's not a solution. So I'll get off that. And, it's just disturbing to see the public dollars increase.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Ms. Holliday, Federal Relations Network.
No report this evening. We'll see you tomorrow night.
That moves us on to general discussion by board members. If I may, just remind the board that Health Ed is meeting Tuesday the 24th, and we'll have a funding request. So if you can make it, appreciate your presence.
They pulled off, they purchased property that they pulled off. We asked for originally, and that went with Health and Ed and Budget and Finance, to do the testing and the pad for the new schools in Smyrna. Well, I noticed this week we got 1,000 more jobs coming.
Yeah.
20-year tax abatement to go with it.
Yeah.
So I think this certainly is timely based on what's happened this week, because they did ask us to bring it back. So this is what we're doing. We're bringing it back.
I don't know that.
The person you ask about is not the same person that was previously employed with us, okay? Thank you.
No, thank you, Ms. Barnes. But I don't think they expected us to bring it quite back to them quite this fast, Mr. Odom, but I don't see any way we can't. It has to be a priority.
We're making it a priority. I hope they will.
Yep. Okay, again, general discussion. Anybody?
I wanted to ask, Mr. Chairman, since I'm the only one here that doesn't know, next week, the advanced ed exit review and so forth, which is Monday night. And on Monday, March 23rd, the review team is going to be here to talk to each one of us individually. Could I just ask for a quick explanation of that?
They'll be here. Are we talking about the board meeting that afternoon, or that's the summit?
It's,
What they'll do a final report to the board, and I believe that's, Ms. Michaels, you may correct me if I'm wrong, is that at 2:30?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, yes, sir.
Wednesday.
That'll be a summative review, report of the review that we've had the previous 2.5 days.
The Monday meeting is an interview with you.
Okay.
They interview teachers, principals.
And it'll be just one of them at a time. There'll be 4 different teams interviewing you guys that want to attend for that.
Okay. Thank you.
It's the Southern Association thing that you're familiar with. They just
I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Holliday.
We have a board policy that says that when a conference, convention, or workshop is not attended by the full board, those participating will be requested to share information. I don't know how much information I necessarily can or am interested in sharing, but on March the 6th, there were 5 of us and our director of schools that attended a presentation that I found rather enlightening in specific circumstances. And I wanted to share with my fellow board members that I took some pride from the community that we have citizens that are involved and are pushing forward in textbook review and comment about that topic. I feel strongly that Rutherford County citizens have been responsible to bring to light that textbook review has traditionally been for compliance to our standards as opposed to factual accuracy and lack of opinion or biased perspective. A textbook could be compliant to the standards and yet have non-factual information in it, and it wouldn't necessarily raise a red flag. The citizens of our county have raised that issue and brought that to light to our State Board of Education and to our state legislature. And I think that that is commendable. There were additional things that were shared that evening that, quite frankly, I'm still thinking about. And I appreciate the fellow board members that were there. And if other board members have thoughts about that or questions about it, I'm happy to continue to share both with my fellow board members or anyone in the community. I just wanted to raise the issue, and I'll lean on policy for the catalyst to do so. That we attended a workshop and sharing it publicly.
Anybody else?
I did share with you that the National School Board Convention, which you know, is in Nashville starting this weekend. One of the off-site visits that traveling to is our Stewart's Creek schools. And so, it's not saying you have to be there or anything like that, but it's information for you. They'll be at Stewart's Creek Elementary. I think it starts about 9:15 on Monday. They're interested in how we track students. It's some of the things you've seen Trey Duke talk about, and some of the things how we're keeping up with the response to intervention, that sort of thing. They will then at 1:15 travel over to Stewart's Creek High School. And I can say, last week when Nelson Mandela's oldest granddaughter was there, I really did enjoy the meeting. But her purpose of being there was they were trying to really decide in South Africa, how can we connect academic pieces with a job later or some vocation? And she said that's absolutely missing. She made the statement that what I'm seeing here, I'm not sure you could even get with a private education in South Africa. In South Africa, there's some financial certainly in the city of South Africa. But I think the board members from around the country that are in Nashville and there, I've said it before and again, we have one of the best, if not the best, CTE programs in the nation. And they're going to see opportunities and connections with the academic piece. When you talk about college and career ready, they're going to say, oh, wow. But any of you that want to come and tag along 1:15 Monday, I think is when that tour bus comes for that. So just letting you know.
Well, we've had a couple of good visitors with Commissioner McQueen visiting Barfield and Stewart's Creek, and then Ms. Mandela, I think she visited a Murfreesboro City School, maybe Scales, and then visited Stewart's Creek High School, and now we're having school board members from all over the nation converge on Nashville for our annual meeting, and then we'll have those also coming to Rutherford County. So we're quite the place to travel to now. So,
Well, and we need to get that message out to all of our faculty and staff, both classified and certified, because it's all of us pulling in the same direction that allows that to happen. But once again, this is tangible evidence of what I have suggested, that with Race to the Top funding that came to the state of Tennessee, the United States of America looks to the state of Tennessee for effective application of education reform. And when they come to the state of Tennessee, the state capitol, the State Board of Education, they point them to Rutherford County. The impact that is happening by what we're doing here in Rutherford County is rippling across our entire nation. And every day in the classroom, what is happening is having an impact not only on our students, but on students across the nation. That's where we are doing what we're doing here in Rutherford County. And I hope our county commission, our good partners, our funding body will continue to support us, because we are leading a charge for public education that our entire nation will see the evidence of.
I like the label. Anybody else? It's kind of an unusual week with a work session on tonight and board meeting tomorrow, but we'll get her done. Anybody else have anything else before we adjourn? I don't see anybody from the long table.